and in about 1 year's time, he released 18 kilos, which is about 40 pounds.
If it can motivate even one person and help them in their weight loss, fat loss, health, lifestyle, any kind of journey. So our common dietary habits were fried chicken in the middle of the night, fried potato rings, onion rings, donuts, Belgian waffles. But I
Yeah.
would subconsciously wake up in the middle of the night to eat something because I was feeling hungry. Basically, nothing very significantly I changed in my diet plan, Smita. I really stuck to the basics. So I was not a nutritionist. I had no one surrounding me who's a nutritionist. Until date, I am still eating the same breakfast even after 4 years. Till date, I'm eating the same breakfast with the same ingredients.
Okay. So that's good. So breakfast is dalia with fruits and milk.
If I had gained weight over a duration of 3 to 4 years, how can
Yeah.
I expect to lose that kind of weight in 3 weeks? Correct.
You started eating a lot more vegetables compared to before in your pre-lunch snack and things like that.
Like that's a phase where, like, I wouldn't say my friends abandoned me, but they sort of did not understand why am I doing and what am I doing.
To my body, because sometimes my body says you should eat that rasmalai or
Yes.
you should eat that ice cream, and I will say yes, I will eat it.
Food plays a very important role in your heart being full and happy. Any kind of publicity is a publicity, either it's good or bad. So keep at it. People
Yeah.
are watching. You make sure that you give them a show. Like if you want to be on the journey, like just start rewarding yourself, with those goals. So for that small goal, for someone can be losing those 2 inches, or for someone else it can be fitting into that particular bikini they want to wear on a holiday.
Hello, everyone, whoever is watching this. I just wanted to share that today I have a very special guest with me. And before I talk about the guest, I want to share a little bit about who I am. So, I'm Smita. I'm a nutrition and an eating behavior coach. I met Piyush about 2 weeks ago, briefly for 5 minutes, and he said, Smita, I released about 18 kilos, which is about 40 pounds in 1 year's time, only through diet. And now you can imagine for someone like me, who's a nutrition and eating behavior coach, how much that must have piqued my curiosity. And I said, would you be open to talking to me in 2 weeks' time and sharing your story live with me? And Piyush has kindly agreed to that. So we haven't spoken before. This is the first time I'm going to be talking to him and literally asking him, why did you choose to release weight? What did you do? How did you realize that diet was the key to releasing that weight? And what motivated you? How did you sustain it? So a little bit about Piyush, just in terms of where he was. So today he is 30 years old. His journey started in 2021, about 4 years ago. He was 25 years old and weighed about 110 kilos, which is 242 pounds. And then he decided to get on this journey of releasing weight. And in about 1 year's time, he released 18 kilos, which is about 40 pounds. He's doing something to sustain it because today he's 30 years old and he weighs 78 kilos, which is 172 pounds, which means he's released 70 pounds over the last 3 years. And so there's a lot to learn from Piyush. And no, he did not get coached under me. And that does not stop me from being curious about his journey and understanding what he's done and how he can motivate so many more people who might be wanting to do the same thing. So, Piyush, thank you so much for being open to doing this, even without really knowing me. And a big welcome for being here and being open to share your journey with us. How are you feeling? There are so many questions I would love to ask you on how you did, what you did, why you did it. What were the obstacles that you had? How did you persist? 1 year of that 18 kilos is the hardest piece. Once you
Yeah.
get past that, then you know the story of how to kind of sustain it.
First of all, happy to be here, Smita. It's really nice to connect with you again.
Yeah.
Thanks for the lovely opportunity. I'm really looking forward to our conversation, and if it can motivate even one person and help them in their weight loss, fat loss, health, lifestyle, any kind of journey, I'll be more than honored.
I definitely think it will.
Awesome. So, thanks for the kind intro, Smita. And I think when I reflect back on my weight loss journey, this is the first time I'm taking this opportunity to actually look back, reflect, and what have I actually done. So I work out with a whole lot of people who are, let's say, 10 years younger than me, or even 10 years elder than me. So when I work out with people who are younger than me, they never think of me as someone who's older than them. I've
Mm,
literally told that, we could have never imagined that you look 30, that you probably look 22.
yeah,
So those sort of things I never reflected upon when I was actually trying to understand the context that we are going to have or discuss in today's conversation. I reflected back and all those examples, all those memories came rushing to me.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy to be here, Smita.
Yeah, I am so glad that, reminiscing about your past few years and how people are looking at you and approaching you is making you feel good and making you think.
Hmm?
That's a good place to be. And my first question was, in 2021, when you decided to kind of make the changes, what change did you make first that kind of kept you on that weight release path? What dietary changes did you make?
So, in order to answer that, I'll answer that with a story, Smita. So, basically, the years that were preceding the time when I actually gained a lot of weight were my MBA years. So,
Mm,
all of us who have been through MBAs know that your schedules are very hectic. You have classes at odd times. You're
yeah,
sleeping at odd times. You're waking up at odd times. You're literally working on one or the other thing because you want to make the most out of those 2 years,
yeah.
right? So that was the case with me as well. So I would sometimes have my dinner at 7 p.m. or I may sometimes have my dinner at 1 a.m.
Mm,
So there was literally no schedule to that.
yeah.
Secondly, one thing I vividly remember that used to be a part of our MBA lives every single day is we used to work on group presentations and things like that. So we would be wrapping up one class by, let's say, 8 p.m., getting back to our subsequent places, flats or hostels, and then having dinners or eating or whatever, and coming back to regroup on work on some project. And by 2, we will be working on that. So 2 a.m. midnight snacks were a common thing for us.
Yeah.
So it used to be so recurring of an event that we had actually decided menus for each day of the week.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was doing my MBA from Bangalore. So people who are from here, they would know there's this famous restaurant that is usually open. I wouldn't want to take the name. It has the most tastiest yet the most shittiest and most unhealthy food possible in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So our common dietary habits were fried chicken in the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
fried potato rings, onion rings, donuts, Belgian waffles,
Yeah.
pizzas, anything that was available quickly, easily, at a cheaper cost because we were students, and that can fill our tummies. That was the only goal out of those midnight snacks.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started, and it kept on going for 2 years, and then COVID hit. Then I started gaining a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So if I reflect back and if I think what helped in my actual journey, the first and the foremost thing that I did is that I got rid of all of those things. I
Can you list them? Like, what were all of those things?
so once I completed my MBA, I got into a situation where I started working for this organization, but since COVID had hit, we all were stuck in our homes and everything was remote. But the habits that I was habitual towards, I would keep on eating since I was at home
Yeah.
food my mom can cook. And I belong to a Marwadi family where we start off our days with sweet as a breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of families may eat dosas, they may eat poha, they may eat vada pav.
Yeah.
What what we guys generally have is we call it a laddu.
Mm-hmm.
It's either made out of jaggery or pure sugar, and you eat it with a glass of milk.
Yum.
It tasted really yummy, but eventually I realized this is not helping me in
Yeah.
my overall health goals.
Yeah.
So I changed those sort of things. But again, like I was habitual towards those midnight snacks. There were literally days when I had worked for the entire day, I would sleep off early. But I
Yeah.
would subconsciously wake up in the middle of the night to eat something because I was feeling hungry.
Yeah.
So that kept on going till the time COVID was there, and we
Yeah.
we were all locked up, so we actually did not have any options. So if I summarize it, the things that I cut down, anything you can name it under the category of junk,
Mm-hmm.
which is processed,
Mm-hmm.
your pizzas, your um, any kind of market made sweet, anything that is related to maida. I don't know what's the English word for it.
White flour.
Yeah, white flour.
Yeah.
Anything associated towards that. Anything that basically tasted nicer to my tongue, I got rid of it.
That is hard. Okay.
Yeah. And I got a lot of grief from my friends, from my family, especially people who I was interacting with on a day-to-day basis. That like how the Indian system works is basically like whatever is made in your home, you're
Yeah.
actually supposed to eat that.
Yeah.
So my mom gave me a lot of hard time that I'm not cooking two meals for two different people.
Yeah.
Whatever is made, I have to eat it.
So let me pause you here on the food part. If you
Hmm.
got rid of all the junk processed foods, everything with white flour, anything with sweet, what
Hmm.
did you eat on a day-to-day basis for that first year?
Sure. So basically, nothing very significantly I changed in my diet plans, Smita. I really stuck to the basics. So I was not a nutritionist. I had no one surrounding me who's a nutritionist.
Yeah.
I I actually never Googled all of these things, but as I said, subconsciously I tried understanding and I started observing my body,
Mm-hmm.
what my body hates but is good for my health, and what my body actually likes is making me fat. Those were the two common parameters I was looking for.
That
And
is
if I
big.
say yeah, and if I say that I figured it out in a month, in a quarter, or in 6 months, I would be lying. Like it took a lot of time, but over the time I realized what is good for my body.
So, one of the things that people really struggle with, those who try to get on this journey, is everybody knows what the strategy is. The strategy is get rid of the junk, processed foods, and sweets,
Yeah,
and you will be healthy, you will lose weight.
yeah,
But we are surrounded by that food, and people generally get stumped at that point saying, I get the strategy. It's the
yeah,
execution that is really, really hard because that's all I'm surrounded with.
yeah,
So, I really want to hear when you say you ate the normal stuff, give me an example of what you might have eaten for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and even for snack, because you cut out a whole lot of things which would
yeah.
have shocked your system. And
Yes.
you still have a lot of cravings that come in,
Yeah.
especially evenings or late nights.
Mm-hmm.
You eat or not eat during that time? And what did you tell yourself? So let's start with what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner
Sure,
during the period. And we're
sure.
still not in the maintenance period. We're still in that first year, right? When you said, okay, this is it. I need to like lose my weight. Like I'm not
Sure.
healthy. So yeah, what did you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yeah.
Let's start
So
with that snack.
sure. So pretty straightforward. Like I switched my breakfast from your regular Indian made breakfast to just plain oats.
Okay.
Nothing but oats. I had no fancy additions to it. I did not add any blueberries, blackberries, nothing. Because those are not readily available, first of all, in India.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm the remotest part of India. I actually hail from a small town in Rajasthan known as Bikaner. And
Hmm.
then it was COVID again, so you can't get anything. So there's an Indian version of oats. It's called dalia,
Yeah.
which can be actually made at home.
Yeah.
So that's what my mom used to make for me. Like I initially learned how to make it by just watching some videos, and then I taught my mom to make it for me
Oh, nice.
because because I was literally in work all the time, so I didn't really get the time.
Yeah.
So she made dalia for me, and I would eat a lot of fruits with it. That's it.
So dalia plus fruits, and what is dalia made of? Is it milk or yogurt or water?
So it's very similar to how oats is made, but
Yeah.
it's just an Indian version. Like um, you can make dalia out of rice,
Okay.
right? So you basically keep on sauteing rice to the level where it's not liquidy, but it's not very hard. Like it's you can't see the shape of a rice.
Okay. Like porridge.
Correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
porridge
So
is
it's
exactly, yeah.
So it's made with water. It's not made with milk or yogurt.
So I used to have it with milk because I'm really fond of milk. So
Yeah.
that atmosphere I have grown up in, especially in
Okay.
that part of North India, like I personally believe that milk is a very big part of how a child's nutrition should be, if
Hmm.
the milk coming from a good source.
Yeah.
So since
Okay.
we belong to a small community and majority of the people surrounding us were known for years, so we were pretty sure that the milk that we are getting is of the highest quality.
Hmm.
Until date, I am still eating the same breakfast even after 4 years. Till date, I'm eating the same breakfast with the same ingredients.
Okay. So that's good. So breakfast is dalia with fruits and milk.
Correct.
Okay. What about lunch?
So I generally used to have my breakfast at between 8 to 9, and
Okay.
then coming back to the craving bit, earlier I would eat anything that is available to me. I
Yeah.
can be in eating like an Indian snack that is a samosa or a kachori during that duration between my lunch and breakfast.
Yeah.
But then like I replaced it with a lot of salad.
Okay. And what was included in your salad? Because salads here
We
in the US is very different from how you would make a salad in India. So I want to hear specifically like what salad did you make?
again like I was not very fussy on the type of vegetables I'm eating. It
Yeah.
was more or less dependent on what are readily available. So the three, four most common things. One was lettuce. Second
Okay.
one was cucumber.
Yeah.
Third one was your tomatoes. And if you have a carrot available, then carrots. And I had no fancy salts added to it, no sauces added to it, nothing like that. It's
I
pure
was
simple.
just about to ask, what did you add?
I actually add nothing into it.
Oh, wow. So no olive oil, no lemon juice, no nothing. Okay, very impressive. So you pretty much went cold turkey once you decided. I mean, this is sort
Yeah,
of cold turkey because you're not giving yourself the concession of, I will have a little bit of this, or I will have, like, you made up your mind saying, this is it.
yeah.
Okay. And what was dinner? Again, I'm just looking for an example
So
of what you might be having.
sure, sure. So this was a pre-snack to the lunch, actually, what I just
Okay.
spoke about, the salad part. So when
Okay.
it came down to the lunch, so my mom was really resisting the fact that she has to cook anything specific for me, and I come from a vegetarian family, so non-vegetarian foods were a big no-no in my household. So I had to stick to vegetarian things.
Yeah.
Um, they were not vegan, but they were
Yeah.
vegetarian. It
Correct.
involved dairy products.
Yeah.
So we as a community do not really believe in buying a lot of things from outside unless you can't make it at home. For
Mm-hmm.
example, there's an Indian version of tofu. We call it paneer
Yeah.
in it. So my
Yeah.
mom makes paneer at home. Like
Okay.
still, if I go home and today I want to eat paneer for a muscle building activity, if I want to make eat 50 grams of paneer at home, she will make it.
Yeah.
So again, like since the ingredients and the sources the food was coming from, it was so pure that she would make paneer for me.
Makes
So,
sense.
for example, earlier, if I was in college, like I would belt a biryani with a
Yeah.
coke
Yeah.
and have a ball of a time,
Yeah.
right? And or I may go to some restaurant that was near to my college or between classes. We
Yeah.
would probably eat whatever was available, and generally, it's not really healthy food.
Yeah.
So I switched it to home cooked food first.
Mhm.
Secondly, let's say if just to give you some context, if let's say if I was eating four chapatis, I
Yeah.
reduced those four chapatis to two, and then I added a bunch of paneer to it, or like a tofu to it.
Yeah.
Or if I want to replace the tofu, I would add a bowl of curd to it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you got rid of a whole lot of junk and processed foods. You switched to a lot of home cooked food.
Correct.
You started eating a lot more vegetables compared to before in your pre lunch snack and things like that. You
Yes.
reduced grains. So, for example, chapati is made out of a grain,
Hmm.
and instead of eating four, you ate three. So, you reduce the quantity of grains, you
Yeah.
increase the quantity of proteins,
Correct.
right? And you did
Yeah.
not let where you were hold you back on the type of protein. So if you were
Yes.
at home with your mom, then you
Yeah.
ate vegetarian form of protein.
Correct.
And would it be right if I said when you were not there, you were eating meat? Like, do you eat meat now or are you vegetarian?
I'm a non-vegetarian today, but in that particular duration, okay. So I don't know how would it affect an individual's health, but personally, I feel uh, when I was gaining a lot of weight, meat contributed a lot to it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that meat is a bad source of food. It is a good source of food, but badly uncooked or processed meat is the biggest red flag to your health,
Yep. Yeah.
right? So today, if I'm in this journey for a good amount of years now, I still eat meat, but
Yeah.
the portions, my body automatically adjusts to those portions. My body knows what portions I need. I don't eat meat outside home. I just
Mhm.
eat meat. So everything is home cooked.
Okay. So when you say, we'll keep going in and out. When you say, when you eat meat, your body talks to you or signals you in a certain way.
Yeah.
Would you be able to help and pinpoint what does that signal look like? And here's why I'm asking you this question because, in my program, I teach people, how foods can impact them and they actually experience it, like grains, taking a break from grains or taking a break from dairy, which is mass produced in factory and, filled with hormones and things like that. So I'm in agreement with a whole lot of things that you're telling me here.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of the program, I tell them the greatest lesson you can have is the lesson that your body is signaling. If
Correct.
you can listen to what your body is telling you, that is
Mm.
the greatest source of whether a food suits you or doesn't suit you. After
Correct.
you eat a food, if you have bloating, swelling,
Yes.
gas, food coma,
Yeah.
sleepiness, fogginess, headache, that
Correct.
is your body telling you that something isn't suiting. So I'm curious to know, did you get that signal from any foods and did you get it from meat?
Absolutely. So all of the symptoms that you have defined, Smita, I actually would want to second that.
Yeah.
Dizziness, laziness, sleepiness.
Dizziness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
I've walked out of restaurants where my heart and my belly full, but my eyes sleepy, and I've literally held the railings of, let's say, walking down the steps. I've sometimes felt dizzy because I mixed a lot of food. So I was
Yeah.
just giving an example of a biryani, like
Yeah.
mixing up a coke or a soda with biryani.
Yeah.
It was never part of our culture. We have just mixed both of the things, and
Yeah.
it's such a bad influence on our body, and it harms our body to a level we cannot imagine.
Yeah.
So it was a common theme for me again. Like
Mhm.
even when I started my um, fat loss or fitness journey, there were days where I would not want to eat what I'm eating.
Mm.
Like like there were those days.
Yeah.
But those were the days when I thought, dude, I've been doing this for such a long time. Why would I want to give up now?
Yeah. Why
Why
do
would
I
I
give up now?
why, if I had to give up, then why did I start in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. Why did you start in the first place? Tell us. Like, weight is one thing. Like, there's a lot of vanity also attached to it, saying, okay, I don't want to look fat.
Yeah.
But for somebody to sustain the journey, that first 1 year, which is the hardest, and then for the next 3 years, what did you start seeing in yourself that made it addictive for you to kind of keep at it? Like, what did you see in the first month when you gave up? In the first week, did you see anything at all in the first 2 weeks? Because let me tell you, when I do the program, within 2 weeks, people are like, I'm eating a couple of extra carrots. Why haven't I lost weight? And I'm like, you just ate
Yeah.
a couple of extra carrots. You need to like hang
Yeah.
on. So, when did you? I know I have so many questions. So, when
Sure.
did you first see a change in you? How many weeks later was it, or how many days later was it?
So like as you gave a correct example, Smita, like I started my journey by the same way as majority of the people do. Hey, I'm eating porridge for breakfast. I've removed a lot of junk from my food. I've completely let go of sweets. It's
Yeah.
been 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm standing on the scale and I actually gained weight.
Yeah.
And so again, I had the same reaction. Like, what's happening? Like, I'm trying to be at it every single day, and I'm giving up a lot of things.
Yeah.
My tummy is certainly not happy with me,
Yeah.
and I'm irritated all the time
Yeah.
because what we don't realize is that if our heart is not full, and
Yeah.
food plays a very important role in your heart being full and happy. If
Yeah.
that is taken care of, you are irritated, and generally people start feeling symptoms of not being able to concentrate. I wouldn't say I felt that, but I know a lot of people who I sometimes help. They do tell me that they feel those symptoms. So I had the same reaction. I'm doing everything right. Why is not happening for me?
Yeah.
But then I sort of realized that maybe it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like,
Mm.
if I had gained weight over a duration of 3 to 4 years, how can
Yeah.
I expect to lose that kind of weight in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So at least I should give myself a window of the amount of years that I've junked on.
Yeah.
Right. So if I have junked for 3 years, then I should at least be able to give myself 3 years to get back into the shape I was, at least to the shape I was before junking.
Yeah.
So that was my simple thought process to
How are you so mature?
that.
I mean, this is the most mature statement I could have heard, which is if I took 2 to 3 years to put on the weight, can I not give myself a little more than 2 to 3 weeks
Yeah.
to start seeing a change, which I never hear from people. And it's only when I ask them to think about how long did you put this 40 pounds on? And they'll say like 8, 9 years. And I'm like, how long have you been eating those two extra carrots? Like 2 weeks. So I'm like, yeah.
I can understand
So
what
I do want
people.
to say that, you're also absolutely right about feeling irritated and heart not being full. And I think that is where, as someone who does this job day in and day out, where I help people say it's not about having or eating in a stringent manner. Like what you did was great because you had the momentum, you kept at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You have the maturity also to kind of say, I need to see this through, and then I can figure out how I can be in maintenance mode.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, when getting into the program itself, they're in maintenance mode because they're like, I don't want it to be hard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the teaching that I always give them, either towards the end of the program, is it's about creating healthy boundaries, but not being in food deprivation.
Yes.
Because food, yes, it nourishes our body, but it also comforts and soothes our soul.
Yeah.
So we need to build in some of those foods time to time
Yeah.
after you changed your relationship with food. And I think you took a year to change your relationship with food
Right.
at your own pace. So now
Yes.
you have a lot more food freedom to
Yeah.
eat what you want once in a while, and you know exactly what not to do the
Yeah.
next move onwards, right?
Absolutely. So, Smita, like again, you're spot on that particular point. So today, if I tell you my situation, I don't stop myself from eating anything.
Yeah,
Like I eat anything and everything what my heart says,
yeah,
but subconsciously, you can say that your body has got used to it, or I've trained myself towards that. I don't know the real answer to it, but let's take an example of ice cream.
yeah,
First of all, I don't crave an ice cream like how I used to crave, let's say 4 years ago. But
yeah.
even if I do, I'm not able to eat more than a certain portion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not because I put in all the hard work, or it's because I look certain way, or is it because I'm building muscle? I don't want to get this process in between that. Nothing like that. So
Tell you
I
what,
don't even have to stop myself. It
yeah.
automatically stops, and my body says no, you can't eat anymore.
I'll tell you what's happened. It's called your body's biochemistry has changed.
Oh.
Okay. So a lot of people think that your mind controls your body, but it's
Hmm.
actually our body that controls our mind,
Yeah.
right? What we eat controls the mind. And the
Yeah.
journey and the hard work that you put in that 1 year has changed your body's biochemistry. What that means is your gut is looking for different things based on what you fed it, and your body
Mhm.
has rewired. And a lot of people struggle when I tell them, I can go to a pastry shop or a cafe or a buffet and see a whole lot of foods and I'm unaffected by it
Yeah.
because I'm just not attracted towards it. Like it doesn't look appealing to me at all. It all looks like dead food. When I say dead food, like dead with nutrients, right?
Yes.
But when I see, like well cooked food, and by the way, like South Indian food is superb according to me when it comes to like amazingly fresh vegetables, and they
Yeah.
just cook with bare minimum seasoning. They're fabulous. When I look
Yes.
at that, my mouth waters. So
Hmm.
if at all, because I live in the US, if somebody hosts like a traditional banana leaf lunch, I come
Hmm.
home almost with tears saying, I love it and I miss it. I just can't cook it. Right. So there's a lot of bodily changes that happens because of
Yeah.
which you can't eat more and you don't crave more.
Yes.
So again, you can change that over time. Like if you keep eating it, you will again
Yes.
go back to that old wiring, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
right now you have that momentum and that wiring is there that kind of stops you from not wanting to eat more. And again, one of the things that you have, which is a strength now, is you listen to your body. When you
Yeah.
feel like it's enough, you stop.
Hmm. Yes.
Right? And that's another thing that I teach people. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. Are you listening when you're
Yes.
full?
Yes. Absolutely, Smita. Like I am a perfect example of that particular phenomenon. And you stated that very correctly, that our mind never controls our body, but rather I would try to just add on to what you said. Like the
Yeah.
fuel you're adding to your body, it actually goes into your brain and then it tells your brain what to do next.
Yeah. Like if you haven't eaten enough,
Hmm.
then your body will tell your brain to eat anything it sees next.
Correct.
Right? And the
Yeah.
more willpower you use, and I heard this beautiful quote from someone which said, there is a problem with willpower
Hmm.
when your will is in conflict.
Yes.
Right? If your will is not in conflict, you don't have to use your willpower that much.
Correct. Absolutely.
So, was your will in conflict at all during that first year, or do you feel like you were so focused, like you
I'm
you went at it?
I'm just taking a couple of seconds to reflect back on those experiences and incidences, Smita.
Yeah, like tell me 6 months into the journey,
Yeah.
like you probably would have released quite a bit of weight because you cut out a whole lot of crappy food.
Yes.
And did your brain at that point say, this is enough, Piyush. You've lost so much. I think you should eat a little bit of junk. Was there that dialogue at all? And how did you kind of persevere from that 6 month period onto the 12-month period?
So I wouldn't say that I didn't have a relapse. I did, but that wasn't during my first year of the weight loss thing. So while I was doing all of these changes, again, I was, as they say, you're getting trained on the job. So
Yeah.
I was in that situation, and it was more of a situation where I was. So the motivation factors for me were that I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I don't like it.
Mm,
Right. So I'm generally by nature that person who would want to wake up in the morning. First thing, they would want to look at themselves.
yeah.
So I read this famous quote once when I was in my teenage years, that the best or the most confident person a human being can be is when they believe that they are the best form of their naked version.
Hmm.
If you're proud of yourself in your most naked state, and if you are in love with that part of your appearance, then
Yeah.
you are the most confident person in the world.
Yeah.
And those are the quotes that I was raised up to. And then I'm looking at myself in the mirror,
Yeah.
like all those societal aspirations we have, of being in the fancy job, being in the fancy title, having certain amount of money in the bank. I would say all of that does not matter at all. Like, at least it don't matter to me. I had
Yeah.
all of those, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I'm thinking, oh dude, this is certainly not me.
Mm.
And I've been a person who's been active all my entire life. As a kid
Mm.
also, I was never obese, I was never chubby. i
Yeah.
I remember my early teenage years, I had visible abs in those times because, like, I was a national level football player. I was actively part
Amazing.
of every kind of sport that was possible. And certainly you have hit this particular roadblock in your life where
Yeah.
you don't recognize the person you have become.
Yeah.
So probably I'll share some pictures with you on that, Smita, where today you look at my face was double the size of my today's face. It was
Mm.
literally.
So well done. So proud of you. I mean, this is quite a journey.
It's a fun journey, Smita. That's what I can tell you.
So I do want to ask, did you change how much water were you drinking before? Because that's a topic that's so close to me.
Hmm.
Did you change anything about how much water you were drinking, like during your MBA years, during COVID, when you got on this weight loss journey, and now? Like, have you changed anything at all about your water drinking? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So thanks for bringing this up, Smita. I think uh, as important of food is, water is equally important, or I would say even more important than that. So many of the things that people don't realize in their fat loss or fitness journey is the importance of water.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit about the first year itself. So while I was on this particular diet, so we covered up to the lunch part. So
Yeah.
my dinner usually used to involve a lot of lentils
Mm.
because lentils are a good source of protein, and at that time you were stuck at home, so you did not
Yeah.
have other sources of protein,
Yeah.
right? So I was eating a lot of nuts, lentils. Basically, I cut down on a lot of carbs,
Yeah.
focused on the protein intake more.
Yeah.
I didn't have fancy equipments to measure my entire day's calorie intake, but I was approximately trying to figure it out by googling things. That was my go-to thing.
Okay,
So
hold on. So no calorie counting.
nothing.
Okay.
Till till date, I've never counted the calorie intake I have. I just have a ballpark figure.
Okay. Yeah. Same. I mean, I think we're so aligned without having met each other before. I tell people that, when you eat more nourishing foods, more nature's foods, you don't have to count calories because there's no way you can overeat it.
Yes,
It is meant to be foods that you will stop. You cannot eat too much eggs, neither can you eat too much broccoli or cauliflower, neither can
correct.
you eat too much lentils or nuts. You will stop at some point. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So like again, coming back to that story on the diet parts itself, Smita. So like my dinner consisted of probably there were certain things that I avoided while eating at night. So like potatoes, or
Mm.
let's say those have high carb deficit in them. I avoided them completely in the evenings.
Yeah.
So you can ask me how did I get this information? I basically Googled it. I had no
Mhm.
other information, and it was a lot of experimentation. But since I had broken down the amount of food I was eating into portions, so I
Yeah.
had my breakfast, then I had salad, then I had my lunch, then I had an evening snack, and then I had my dinner.
Yeah.
So whatever I was eating in one particular meal, I had broken it down into various phases during the day. But surprisingly, as I said, I got onto the scale after 2 to 3 weeks. I had gained weight,
Yeah.
and I could see my tummy bulging out.
Yeah.
Like, again, I can show you pictures on that, but it was so big that I couldn't see my knees by looking down.
Was it inflation? Were you bloating? Like, what was going on?
I had no clue. Like, is it bloating? Is it really fat? Or it's what's happening to me? So I was going through all of these changes,
Yeah.
right? But I kept on onto this journey for a certain duration, but I wasn't seeing any significant results. And
Mm.
that's where I reflect the story back to your water conversation.
Yeah.
So the biggest mistake I was making is
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I'm eating any kind of meal, I'm
Yeah.
chugging like one glass of water directly after that.
Mm.
And it's a very common practice. I'm not sure about south part of India, but at least in the north part of India, it's a very common practice. So
Yeah.
people actually, when they sit down to eat, they'll
Yeah.
fill the entire jug of water with them, and as soon as they eat, they'll jug that water inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized this after some months of being into that journey, and I'm seeing no results absolutely at all.
Yeah.
Not very minuscule or no results.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the water part came into my life. And it actually came to me from one of my cousins. So he has been a yoga practitioner for good 10 years, 10 to 15 years. Now he's into meditation and all those things. So I told him, like I've been onto this journey, but nothing is working out.
Yeah.
So he's a person who I usually connect with. So he said, he told me a very beautiful Ayurveda quote.
Mm-hmm.
That water before meal, and that's written in Ayurveda, that water before meal is Amrit, water during the meal is Jal, and water after the meal is poison.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stick to it. Like till date, I've stuck to it.
Yeah.
And the bloating that we were talking about, and as you correctly stated that it was bloating, I lost like 5 to 7 kgs in good 10, 12 days. That's it.
Wow. 5 to 7 kilos in
Yes.
10, 12 days.
Just by making sure that my water habits are correct.
Yeah.
So I have never tracked the amount of water I have in a day, and I have a I have a trick for it. How do I measure it? But I'll tell that later.
Yeah.
But before I eat a meal, I have a lot of water. So right now we are talking like I've emptied half of this
Yeah.
jug. So I certainly know what is the intake I need, but
I have mine.
awesome. But as soon as I have a meal, Smita, I would not have water at least for the next 40 to 60 minutes.
Okay.
Till that helps a lot because there's a simple phenomena, and like I explain this to people with an example. Imagine your belly has a fire burning in it, and if you're roasting anything onto a fire, and if you pour water on it, what happens? Like
Yeah.
this big, the thing you were roasting, it stays as it is, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of smoke that comes out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that the same phenomenon happens in your body, in your belly as well. If your tummy has a fire, we call it the jwala inside our belly.
Mhm.
When you're eating food, it actually burns up that entire food, sends it into the various parts of your body wherever it's required, and
Yeah.
after a duration, it would automatically tell you that it needs water now
Yeah.
because it to be stopped. That fire needs to be stopped.
Do you remember like approximately how much water you were drinking in the first year whenever you realized that you need to change your water or you need to increase your water intake?
Yeah. So one of the things that I was used to was drinking a lot of soda.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So since I was drinking a lot of soda, I never really felt the need for a water. Okay. So my simple thought was, if water is not tasting good, why should I have it?
Yeah, makes sense. I'm with you. I was there too. I was drinking tea instead of water.
Yes. So then basically I removed the soda. So as soon as I cut down on the soda, so there was a huge portion during my entire day where there was an emptiness or there was a gap to it. So
Yeah.
I did not taste it with any green teas, nothing fancy drinks. I just had water, Smita. Like basically, I had never done any fancy things for any fat loss.
So I can see that you stuck to the basics. So was it diet soda or soda that you were having before?
No, nothing sort of a diet soda. Normally, your Coke, Pepsis,
Normal Coke. Okay.
Dr. Pepper, whatever. Yeah.
uh, and what's your trick? You said that you do have a trick for your water intake.
Yeah. So I again, this was more of an observation that I discovered on my own.
Yeah.
So, so if you need to decide the amount of water your body needs in a day, you can decide it on the color of your pee,
Mm-hmm.
the color of the urine. If you just start observing that, you would know whether you're appropriately having the right amount of water or not.
Yeah.
If it's dark yellowish, you need more water,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's light yellowish but more of white, then it's appropriate. And if
Yeah.
it's purely pale white, then you're having more water.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know if you're doing it as like that decides how much water you drink. I actually drink the water and then track that to make sure that it's not yellow.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I have a goal. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. We're getting to the same
same.
outcome. We're just looking at it
Yeah,
a little bit differently. So that's great.
yeah.
I did have, this social question because one of the hardest things, like we are all social beings, we live in
Mm-hmm.
communities, and especially in
Yeah,
India, like you're surrounded by friends and family so much. And initially, like in our conversation, you kind of alluded to it that it was much harder, like when you went back home and your mom said she's not cooking for two different
yeah,
people.
yeah,
And you've been on this journey for 3 years, which means that, initially you were mocked at or ridiculed or poked fun of and or pushed or being judged in the
yeah,
first year. And then people kind of like get bored of doing that and then they let you be.
yeah.
But in that first year and even now, if you're going out to restaurants or and which is a lot these days,
Mm-hmm.
we'll end up going out 2 3 times.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you do differently if you were to like really reflect and say, do you really go all out and eat everything all the time? Or again, are you listening to your body or saying, you know what, I guess I am eating out, and I also know they deep fry everything. I also know they add a lot of bad oils. So I'm going to make a few changes. Like, what's running in your mind when you're going out too often and in the choices that you're making?
Yeah, so I'll answer that in two parts, Smita.
Yeah.
First, um, I generally don't really go out. You know,
Okay.
even if I'm going out, I don't like eating outside. I,
Mm.
I prefer eating home cooked food.
Yeah.
And since I've basically divided my eating throughout the day into portions, so even if I'm going out for a social event where I have to be there, I mostly would have eaten already.
Oh my God. Why? I should just put you on as one of my students now. Like, these are exactly the things I tell people. Eat and go. Stop giving yourself too many
Yeah,
excuses, that you can't be on the journey. Because people who
exactly.
are on the journey are doing things like this. I do things like this too.
Yeah. But let's say even if there's a situation where I have to go out and I have to eat. So recently I went to Pondicherry with my girlfriend, and
Yeah.
no, we had been working really hard for a certain duration, and we thought, we're gonna chill for a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found a person who aligns towards the same sort of aspirations I have when it comes down to fitness and life. So it
Yeah.
becomes when you have a partner like that.
Yeah.
But but to answer your question, we had a lot of junk in
Yeah.
Pondicherry. Like we went to, we had a lot of deep fried stuff. We had a lot of things. But again, it's just choices. So even
Mm-hmm.
if I'm eating a deep fried dish, it's actually a fish.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not going and eating artificially grown chickens, which have been deep fried in KFCs and eating that. But
Yeah.
rather, I'm going to a restaurant which I know catches a fresh catch and then deep fries it.
Yeah.
So whatever you are, I would say making bad of a choice in eating deep fried, but you're still eating a fish. So you're
Yeah.
trying to balance it out at 50-50.
Yeah.
And and you know what? Like I have a very simple philosophy on this, Smita. Like you cannot be at your diet all the time.
Yeah.
And people will call you psychos, and I've been called a psycho. I've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So I have a very simple rule. If I'm doing the things right, majority of the times, then I get to do things bad a certain times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people, some call it 30-70-30 rule, some call it 80-20 rule, some call it 90-10 rule. I honestly don't have a rule for it. It's just that I listen to my body. I know when I need to stop doing certain things and I stop it for a duration. And then I start it again when I feel low. Right now can be a good time. That's it.
I am so aligned with you. People ask me, should it be 80-20, 90-10? And I say, I don't even know how to count that 80-20 and 90-10. I don't do any counting.
Correct.
What I tell people is where your attention goes is where your energy flows. So my attention is always into how can I make the best choice in the
Mm-hmm.
situation that I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
and listening to my body, because sometimes my body says you should eat that rasmalai or
Yes.
you should eat that ice cream, and I will say yes, I will eat it and I'm happy eating it, right? And I don't know whether it's 80-20 or 90-10. I just listen to my body when it's tired. And it's tired, when I say tired, I don't mean the daily fatigue. I just
Yes.
mean boredom or tiredness of eating the same type of food.
Correct.
And it says eat something different, I will go eat something different.
Absolutely.
So it's just being in tune with your body, so
Yes.
close to it that you
Yes.
know what it enjoys, you know what it doesn't enjoy, and you know when to give it a break and give it
Yeah.
certain things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is what's called intuitive eating, right? Like, even when you're on vacation, although it was deep fried, you were still choosing like a wild caught, fresh caught fish.
Yeah.
So, would you say, again, I'm curious to know, um, we all have this thing that says when I'm on vacation, I need to chill. Even I feel that I need to chill, but I still can't eat a whole lot of like breads or desserts and feel like I'm chilling, because I
Mm-hmm.
get this huge slump in energy. And then I'm like, that doesn't feel good. I'm
Mm.
on vacation, like I need to feel good and I need to be enjoying. I can't feel like I'm in a food coma and, feel bloated and things like that. So, what choices do you make? I know you mentioned it's like with the example of the fish, it was half deep fried, but it was fish, wild caught, fresh caught fish. Any other habits that you pursue while you're on vacation that makes you feel like, yes, I am chilling, I am enjoying, but it's still aligned with who I want to be and what I want?
Um, I think I do make those choices, Smita. But again, I would. So again, what I usually suggest people is, and like with you, I'm sharing this story for the first time. I would just like to say that one glove doesn't actually fit all. Like
Yeah.
I can recommend n number of things to people, but they may not be resonating towards it.
That
What
doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I just want to hear what works for you when you're on vacation.
So for me, for example, let's take the example of a bread. Let's say if I go into a restaurant, they have a very nice French buffet, they have a croissant there, or let's say they have French patisseries, or they have breads and those sort of things.
Yeah.
So now, if I think about it, like I've reached a place in my journey where my body actually cannot even take it.
Mm.
So I first of all I don't like eating bread. That's my first thing. Today, even if I eat a bread, I can't eat more than half a slice. I
Yeah.
just can't. And it goes on to different things as well. So a lot of people in India like to eat street food, right?
Yeah.
That usually you're getting out of office, you see some card outside your office, and you would actually go there and eat. My
Yeah.
colleagues do, peers do that, my friends do that. I don't do that because I know my body can't take it. Like
Yeah.
either first of all, I don't like it. I don't have those cravings. Secondly, if for the sake of let's say society and friends and all of that, if even if I do end up eating it, I know I'm gonna suffer later.
Yeah.
As soon as I get home, I have bloating or I have other issues. So eventually, your body has understood that this is the food that is right for me and this is the food that is not right for me.
Yeah. I
And
mean, that's big. I
yeah,
think, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like I basically feel that our all our bodies know what it wants. It's just up to us to make sure that we are aligned towards it and
Yeah.
understand what it's telling us.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I think the more I talk to you, the more I'm hearing that you listen to your body.
Yeah,
The more I'm hearing, that when your body wants a break, you listen to it again when it wants a break, and then
yeah,
you come back on.
yeah,
So I'm curious to know in terms of maintenance, like, the first year you released like 40 pounds, and then you've continued over the next 2 years to release 30 more pounds because you've released like 70.
yeah.
What does maintenance look like? Because you probably didn't keep up that intensity of the first year, and it's not possible to keep up that intensity of the first year.
Hmm,
What did you start doing differently that's keeping you on the journey? And
hmm,
what would you say are your daily habits right now or the past year
hmm.
that's allowing you to keep at it? Because this is a marathon, this is a long journey that we are on, and
Yes,
the intensity we start off with will not last us for a long time. But
correct.
the daily habits that we build and the comfort food that we build in and around it once in a
Yeah,
while is what
yeah.
keeps us on the journey. So, what's keeping you on the journey today? What are your daily habits like that you're proud of?
Sure. So, Smita, it's more of a suggestion for all the people listening to us. Like, if you want to be on the journey, like just start rewarding yourself,
Mm,
with those goals. So, for that small goal, for someone can be losing those 2 inches, or for someone else, it can be fitting into that particular bikini they want to wear on a holiday. For
mm-hmm.
me, personally, it's the dopamine that gets released for me,
Yeah,
like the feel good hormone that I get in my brain is
yeah,
the driving factor for me. Like I want to feel that way
yeah,
every time.
yeah,
And so when I started off, like the first year, I would say I was doing a lot of things, but again, I wasn't sure whether all of them are right or not.
yeah, yeah,
Right. So, but I kept at it. I kept making changes to it. But then I would say, once I realized that it's a marathon rather than a sprint, I would say if I reflect back, the first year of my journey was actually just building me up for
yeah.
what was about to come.
Mm,
So I'll share that in probably in the later part. But coming back to your question on what are my daily habits,
yeah,
again, I'm just just sticking to the basics. I don't eat any fancy foods. I don't have any fancy drinks. I don't drink any fancy waters.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't do any kind of intermittent fastings. I
Yeah.
don't um, like I don't get into any schedules which I know my body will not be able to cope up with.
Yeah.
I like as you said that we are social beings. We have a lot of things to take care of rather than our health,
Yeah.
where we prioritize a lot of things. It can be our kids, our family, our job, our our other passions, and all those things. So
Yeah.
what I try to do is to form habits that that are sustainable, and I can do it on everyday basis. When
Yeah.
it comes to eating, I know I can get a bunch of like a pack of stock oats made for myself, which I
Yeah.
can eat. I just wake up every single day. It has a lot of nuts, dry nuts in it. I add blueberries, blackberries now since it's Bangalore. I add a lot of fruits to it. I check it in a bowl. I add a lot of milk in it. It's earlier I used to add a pinch of like a spoon of peanut butter, but I just keep on experimenting with it just to make
Yeah.
sure that I like it. And
Yeah.
then I have been having that for the past 4 years.
Okay.
Simple. And because I know that's sustainable, I can get it done every single day.
Correct. Yeah.
Similarly for lunch, so there are days when I have to eat at office, and office foods are actually made in large scale kitchens, which again known are not really healthy. So
Yeah.
there, I'm going there. Then although the office is offering me a lunch, I can choose not to eat that lunch or probably eat portions of it which I think are healthy,
Yeah.
right? So, for example, if the lunch is serving me a tofu with a chapati or rice or dal and things like that, what I can do is I can completely avoid the chapati. I just take the rice, a portion of it. I take paneer out of it, and then I
Yeah.
ask them to cook, an omelet of 2 eggs for me.
Mm.
So
You,
that can be sorry.
I said you have figured it out to make
Yeah,
office lunches work for you if you need to make it work.
exactly. So majority of the times I try to avoid it. I don't want to eat it. But
Mm.
what I've over the time realized that if I don't eat, then there's another disadvantage for my body. So I have to eat it. Like I need to fuel my body so that I can work for the rest of the time. But if I'm eating those unhealthy things, then there are adverse effects. So what do I do now? So that's
Yeah.
why I and match and try to sustain things. When it comes down to eating habits, it's pretty much the standard, whatever we can make on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and which I can on a daily basis. But when it comes down to workout, that's the second part of losing fat.
Yeah.
Is I'm in a hectic job right now. I've been at it for like about a quarter now. It takes a lot of time of for during the week for me, so I can't really work out.
Mm.
But if I have a couple of hours within meetings, I've ensured that on those days I'm at home, and
Mm-hmm.
I've chosen a gym that is specifically closer to my house so that I don't waste a lot of time in commuting. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to go to a fancy job, a fancy gym. I don't want to go to a fancy gym which has many equipments. I
Yeah.
want where I know how to train my body. I can train my body with basic equipments as well.
Yeah.
And I do that. If I'm not able to do anything, I can go for a long walk
Yeah.
in the and the weather is lovely, or I can come to my terrace, do some body push-ups, do certain things when it's raining or
Yeah.
snowing or things like that. Right? But like circling back to your answer, like question, so keeping things which are sustainable, you can do on a day-to-day basis. Do not take a lot of your time and effort, because
Yeah.
if it does, you're not going to be able to do it every day, and
Yeah.
you will end up like choosing the things which are unhealthy and not good for you.
You're a
So
man of very few excuses, Piyush. I must tell you that. I think you keep looking for how do I unblock myself? Like if the gym is too far, how do I find something closer? If it's
yeah,
raining, how can I do something at home? If I
yeah,
have to eat at the office, how do I make sure I pick the healthy parts? Like I only see you unblocking yourself, and I think it requires a certain kind of mindset to be in that frame of mind,
yeah,
because people think if you're on a healthy journey, you're constantly thinking about food. Actually, you're not,
not,
because
yeah,
you just know that when you look at foods, if your biochemistry is changed, you just don't want certain foods. And
yes,
if you look at a buffet, you know exactly what to pick and you're over and done with it. There's no decision making. Uh,
absolutely,
because a lot of decisions are already made that you won't eat X, Y, and Z. You're not tempted to eat X, Y, and Z. And
yes,
you're just not attracted to X, Y, and Z, right?
correct,
So, uh, Again, this is so beautiful that I'm talking to you because there are very few people who stay at it long term and who arrive at this point of I am just not attracted to so many other foods.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you so much. Is there anything else you would want to share? I think I went through um, all of the questions, and even if I didn't go through it, you answered them in your conversation.
Uh, thanks a lot, Smita, for this opportunity. I just want to touch upon one simple thing which I think a lot of my friends are going through,
Yeah,
and a lot of your viewers may also be going through. Is the societal angle, the relapse, and the pressure from the society. So,
yeah,
like I come from a space where I have a lot of friends.
hmm,
So, like I'll just try to explain it in various phases. When I started it off, like especially from the part of the world where I come from, it's okay and it's healthy to be
yeah,
fat.
yeah.
I'm specifically using that word.
Correct.
Till
Yeah,
date,
yeah,
till date, my mom calls me malnutritioned, and
yeah,
she thinks I'm not eating enough. Right?
yeah,
And same was the mindset of people my age group who have grown up with me. They stopped calling me to parties. They stopped hanging out with me. They said, what's the need to call Piyush because we are going to a specific place to eat or a specific place to hang out, and he's
yeah,
anyway there.
yeah,
So why bother?
yeah,
And like that's a phase where, like, I wouldn't say my friends abandoned me, but they sort of did not understand why am I doing and what am I doing.
yeah,
But I did not really have an answer for it at that time. I thought, you know what, like let me do it. I want to do it, and that's what makes sense to me. So I
yeah,
kept, and after a point, they came back. Like they, rather than me getting influenced and choosing the decisions they are taking for me,
yeah,
my influence started rubbing on them.
yeah,
So a lot of my friends have become new parents today, and like I get a lot of calls from them. They are like, "Hey, we are on this. We have been taking care of the baby for a year. We have put on so much of weight. What do
yeah,
you think?" Someone tells me that I'm underweight. I want to
yeah,
build. How should I do that? So so all I want to tell viewers is that it's okay. You know, it's okay if some people don't want to hang out with you. It's okay if you can't go to a certain party, especially people who are in their early 20s, teenagers, or even in their early 30s. They
yeah,
may be feeling that because I've gone through that.
yeah,
You know what? I would just suggest it's all right. Like you just make up your mind, you want it. Trust me, those people will circle back to you and ask you, how have you done it? That's
yeah,
first.
yeah,
Second, if your friends are not wanting to be with you for a certain reason, then I don't think they are friends. They are your friends in the first place.
yeah. Oh my God, beautifully said. Absolutely beautiful. And again, I feel like you're in my brain because I tell a lot of people this when they start. Like, my program is 90 days, and I tell them at the beginning when they get started. And by the way, it's everything that you did, but in
Mm-hmm.
a structured way, right? Like
Okay.
everything that you did, stumbling, Googling, going through all of the frustrations, is just now packed in 90 days.
Wow.
Pretty much everything that you did. And
Yeah.
what I always tell them is when you start off, people are going to critique you, judge you, mock you, get you to get off track, and do
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things. The second phase is they won't say that, but they'll be intrigued. That's it.
Yeah.
The third
Yes.
phase is they will be inspired and they'll
Yeah.
ask you how you did it, and they'll say,
Yeah.
can I do it too? Right?
Absolutely.
And I tell them, you have to wait. You have to wait. You will earn that. You will be that role model. You will be that inspiration because
Yeah.
they all want to be where you are today,
Yeah.
but they didn't know how and what it takes. But they're watching you and observing you while they're ridiculing you and mocking you. So,
Correct.
yeah, amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing it. I think it's very inspirational. I must say, I'm so glad I tapped into that 5 minutes conversation we had and said we should do this. I
Yeah.
think you have shared so many nuggets that are all on point to what it takes to create health, what it takes to release weight. Literally everything, cutting out junk food to eating more home cooked foods to eating before going out, to drinking more water and having a very tangible measure, which is the color of your pee. Not finding excuses when it comes to what type of protein, animal based or plant based, but truly staying on the journey,
Yeah,
finding sustainable foods, eating repetitive foods, like unblocking yourself on movement. Movement is important. And I loved what you said, whether it's the gym or the walk or at home exercises. Like, you have pretty much told people stop giving excuses. Like,
exactly. This, I mean, I've again, like, I feel my life has been based on poetry and a lot of quotes. So I just quote one more. So
yeah,
they say, like, you need one reason to be happy, and no, you need one reason to smile, and then you have thousand reasons to be sad about. So it
yeah,
depends on your perspective. What reason are you looking for?
yeah. Yeah. And, one other thing that I do want to call out for people who are listening is you also mentioned um, foods should also fill your heart. And I think it's a very important message, because a journey is not sustainable if it's not filling your heart. And if you don't know what foods you can eat that are your comfort foods or will fill your heart, and knowing when to eat and listening to your body. So many gems, wonderful. And I cannot believe you did all of this on your own, with your own research, with your, own intention and your own focus and mindfulness. Amazing, Piyush. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I hope, people are inspired by this talk with everything that you've done. And again, just to summarize, I want to tell everybody you released 70 pounds over um, 3 years' time, about 40 in the first year, and you sustained it and you are sustaining it, and you're probably feeling your best at the moment.
Absolutely. Thanks for this amazing opportunity, Smita. I really had an amazing conversation with you. This is for the first time I reflected back on the entire journey, and I would actually like to say it really feels good. And to all the viewers, I just want to say that, it will feel good. All of those people, all those haters will become your the best admirers to you. So any kind of publicity is a publicity, either it's good or bad. So
Yeah.
keep at it. People
Yeah.
are watching. You make sure that you give them a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice talking to you, Smita. Thank you for your time.